Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we have Donald Trump versus Ben Sasse. This is just going to be a primary prediction, so completely disregard the electoral vote count. This is just going to be who I think will win each state. And here's the thing about the Republican anti-Trump movement. They need to remember he only won 44% of the vote the first time around. 44.9% to be exact. If they are going to run candidates to beat Trump, they need to center around one. They can't run 17 candidates and expect them all to bring down Trump. They need to bring down one they can all rally behind, and they're not likely to unseat an incumbent president. I mean, he's expected to win 67% of the vote against John Kasich, and Ben Sasse isn't that much more appealing. He's another Ted Cruz, and Republicans made it clear they didn't want. Oh, sorry about that. Republicans made it clear they didn't want Ted Cruz in the 2016 primaries. He only got 25% of the vote. So we should focus on where Sasse would do in places that Ted Cruz won, in places that Marco Rubio won, places that John Kasich won, and see how much better Sasse can do, especially with one movement rally behind him instead of split between 17 different candidates. So let's go through the obvious Trump states. Sasse will be in orange and Trump will be in red. So let's just go through all the obvious Trump states. The West Coast is obviously going for Donald Trump. All the states that voted for him in the primary before, I would give to him, except for Nebraska. I'm not going to touch that one yet. Nor South Dakota or Montana. North Dakota, I think, would go to Sasse just because it voted uncommitted, and I think that, well, it just went uncommitted. So I think Sasse would carry that. Actually, I'm going to go back to Montana. Let's just get this out of the way now. Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, and Colorado, all Cruz states. I think that they can rally behind Sasse this time and wind up voting for him, especially in Utah and Colorado. Nebraska is Sasse's home state, so I think that they'll come out to vote for him. And it was going to be a Cruz state until Cruz dropped out. He did say he would keep running if he did win the race, but he didn't win the race. So we have Montana and South Dakota next. I think South Dakota is relatively close to Nebraska, and I think that Sasse can actually appeal better than I think Sasse can appeal well in the state of South Dakota. But for the state of Montana, I'm going to actually give that one to Sasse because I think that Republicans have lost net from the special elections, and I think that could be partially from Trump. And if there's a huge anti-Trump movement after 3.5 more years, I think that Sasse could win the state of Montana, but I don't think it's enough to win the primary for another candidate, but we'll keep going. Oklahoma and Texas, I would give that one to Sasse. Alaska, I would give to Sasse. Hawaii, I would give to Trump again. The South, obviously, going for Trump. Out of the state of Florida, though, that one could be closer than in 2016, but again, it is a winner-take-all state, so I'm going to give that one to Trump. In Ohio, I'm going to give that one to Sasse because I think that John Kasich voters will come out and vote for him. In Iowa, I think that one would go to Sasse because I think there will be a lot of hype for the race, and I think that anti-Trump movement, I think it'll be at its peak in Iowa, and then as the thing goes on, as soon as they see the other Democratic candidate getting more attention and gaining more ground, I think that they'll slowly turn towards Donald Trump. In Wisconsin, I think that one would go to Sasse, and Minnesota as well. If we're looking in places that matter, Michigan and Pennsylvania, I think those ones will stay in the Trump column. Illinois and Indiana, because of Mike Pence, and Illinois is good for, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, Illinois, that one has a lot of moderate Republicans. I think that they could possibly vote for Sasse, but then again, Kasich is more of a candidate for people like for the Republicans in Illinois, and I didn't really give the state of Illinois to Kasich, so I'm thinking if Sasse was able to win that state, I think it could help him, but I don't think it's enough to push him over the mark of where other candidates went. But Illinois, I think that one could possibly flip. It all comes down to where they voted in the 2016 primary and how much of a margin they voted for each candidate. So if we're looking at the Illinois primary results, we have Donald Trump winning 38% to 30% for Ted Cruz to 19% for John Kasich. So now that I think about it, yes, I'll give that one to Ben Sasse because of the vote splitting. But I think it'll be very close. I think Sasse would be able to pick it off as by a slim margin, but it all comes down to who rallies their voters best and who can get all of the anti-Trump movement on their side or possibly hop some of them on the Trump train. If we're looking in DC, that one would easily go to Sasse because of Marco Rubio's huge victory here. If we're looking up in the Northeast, this is solid Trump territory. The Northeast is Trump territory. In New Hampshire, I think he could win that state, though, and Maine, because he called New Hampshire a drug-infested den. But for the rest of the Northeast, I think that one would go. I think they would all go to Trump. So this is my final prediction map of Donald Trump versus Ben Sasse in the primary. The reasoning behind it is I think that the anti-Trump movement may be a little bit stronger, but they're going to need to rally behind one candidate if they're going to make a message at all. I don't see any way for him to unseat an incumbent in the primary. I don't think he'll be primaried in the 2020 election. So I do think Sasse could be one of their stronger candidates. But then again, they do have other candidates like John Kasich who could do better in 3.5 years from now. So this is my prediction map. Sasse would win a considerable amount of the Midwest, but win none of the South. States that Kasich won, Rubio won, Cruz won, a lot of them would go to Sasse. So this is my final prediction map of Ben Sasse, the senator from Nebraska, versus, of course, the incumbent president, Donald Trump. Upcoming, I have my, if the 13 colonies held an election today, coming up soon. So you guys should stay tuned for that, and I'll see you all later today.